A new survey suggests people in Taiwan want the country to interact more with China. That's despite worsening ties between Taipei and Beijing. Taiwan's Global Views magazine spoke to more than 1,000 Taiwanese adults earlier this month. More than 40% of respondents said their overall impression of China had worsened, with fewer than 17% saying it had improved. But almost 60% of respondents said Taiwan should increase its interactions with China. Only 22% said exchanges should decrease. The results follow years of escalating tensions between the two countries. China and Taiwan suspended most direct flights during the COVID-19 pandemic, but now both have abandoned their zero-COVID policies. Officials in Taiwan are considering reopening those transport links. To learn more about those results, assess about Taiwanese views of China, our reporter Staś Butler spoke to Taipei-based analyst Jeremy Huaizhejiang.
More than 40% of people told this recent survey that their overall impression of China had got worse. And that's a big change from 2018, when more than half said it had actually got better. What's changed in the last 4 years?
There has been a deterioration in relations. Of course, I think COVID contributed partly to that. And also in terms of, Taiwanese people's perception of, what's happening in Hong Kong, especially after the national security law. And also, as we've seen in the 20th Party Congress, Xi Jinping cementing his possibility for a third term, also, just increases that impression in Taiwan that China is under an authoritarian state. So that sense of, both sides being very different has just, accelerated in the past few years.
Despite that, as you say, kind of, negative or generally negative outlook on China that's given by this survey, 60% of the respondents said that they thought that China and Taiwan should interact more. How do you explain that result?
I think you also have to go back to the survey question itself, right? Because the survey questions ask if you're supporting, exchange or interaction, right? Those are very neutral words. You would have to be a very hardcore sort of an anti-exchange, anti-interaction person to be able to say no to these kind of things.
How much do Chinese and Taiwanese people actually interact with each other face to face? And how has that changed over the last 15 years or so?
Obviously, because of COVID, people-to-people exchange has, decreased by a lot. But prior to the pandemic, of course, there had for a long time been very vibrant, academic exchanges and also tourism activities across the strait. And I think, of course, these people-to-people exchanges creates a more sort of three-dimensional picture of, people from, these two very different places, and it increases, people's stake ownership in this kind of relationship, and it increases, mutual understanding.
Do you think that the lack of travel between China and Taiwan right now is partly to blame for the state of cross-state relations? And do you think that perhaps reopening, the government's talking about reopening the mini three links between China and Taiwan's outlying islands and perhaps allowing more cross-strait flights, do you think that could help improve things?
I think from my personal opinion that these decreased activities are the symptom of the problem that we are facing right now. They are not the cause of the problem. Current tensions between China and Taiwan are not a result of these decreased people-to-people interactions. It's actually the geopolitical structure or tensions between the two governments that has created a very unhelpful environment for these people-to-people interactions to take place. I think people do want, normal interaction activities to take place once again, but obviously that has to be conducive to, actual situations on ground.